Israeli-Palestinian peace process seems to be on life support, but the White House is trying again. President Trump's Middle East envoy Jason Greenblatt just arrived in Israel, and Vice President Pence will visit next week.
But Palestinians refuse to meet with either man. They're still furious over Trump's decision recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Our correspondent Michael Pluchak has more.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas criticized U.S. President Donald Trump in a fiery speech Wednesday.
The sinful decision by President Trump to recognize contested Jerusalem as Israel's capital is an extreme violation of the feelings of hundreds of millions of Muslims and Christians.
This at a conference in Cairo organized by Al-Azhar University, the primary seat of learning for the world's Sunni Muslims. This comes just days after Abbas openly cursed Trump in an address to a high-profile meeting of Palestinian leaders in Ramallah. The Palestinian leaders voted to suspend recognition of Israel and sever security ties between Ramallah and Jerusalem. It's a move with potentially deep implications. Abbas's fiery comments on Monday and then Wednesday come ahead of a weekend visit to the region by U.S. Vice President Mike Pence. Pence will visit Egypt, Jordan, and Israel, but Abbas has shunned meetings with any U.S. officials. In fact, while Pence is in Israel, Abbas will be in Europe. In Brussels, he will be meeting European leaders pursuing his long-standing policy of globalizing the Palestinian issue. His last score in that arena was a 2012 United Nations vote that admitted Palestine as a non-member observer state. He desperately needs a similar political win to at least save face and perhaps his legacy. Michael Pluchak, i24 News.
Let's bring in Craig Snyder, the president and CEO of the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia. And Craig, as we noted in the piece, Abbas is lashing out literally every other day. He's going to be in Europe when U.S. officials like Pence are there in the Middle East. What is Abbas up to?
Well, it's been reported that the Saudi government leaked to Abbas the draft of the peace plan that the Trump administration is working on, and that peace plan was very unsatisfactory from the Palestinian point of view. What I'm hearing is that the reaction of Abbas, these speeches, the unwillingness to sit down, has more to do with knowing what might be coming if negotiations started under the terms of this proposed Trump peace plan, rather than having to start and then walk away. They think they're in better shape politically if they just say the game is rigged, we're not going to enter the game.
Let's talk about the other side for a moment. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's political rival, Yair Lapid, was on our network earlier today, and he had some tough words for Abbas. I want you to take a listen.
It was this despicable speech. This is considering the fact that the Americans are still passing through about $500 million a year in aid to the Palestinians. So this is literally biting the hand that feeds you. And the kind of vocabulary that Abu Mazen was using is unheard of in international circles, not to mention the fact that he's talking to the President of the United States, who is not known to be the most delicate speaker in the world, and yet he was respectful to Abu Mazen while visiting here and while going to Ramallah. There is such thing as reciprocity in international relations, and Abu Mazen broke all the rules.
I will point out when he says Abu Mazen, he's referring to Mahmoud Abbas. But what I was struck by is that Israelis don't agree on anything. And here you have Netanyahu's rival agreeing with Netanyahu that what Abbas said was outrageous. What struck out for you?
Well, I think you're exactly right. There is a growing degree of consensus. Now, everything's relative. Of course, Israel remains a country of many political points of view, strongly held. But relatively speaking, there's a growing consensus in Israel in opposition to the sort of traditional lines of argument about the two-state solution. And Abbas is fueling that. He's reinforcing the position of Israelis against a two-state solution. Some would argue that that's because the status quo actually, although they would never admit it in public, that the status quo actually serves the current Palestinian leadership that exists and has sort of luxurious lives in many cases based on foreign aid and the continuation of the crisis, the continuation of the struggle.
Craig, you mentioned the Saudi peace plan. Are there any details of the peace plan that have leaked out that perhaps the Palestinians would find most objectionable?
Well, this is a subject of reporting that I certainly can't independently confirm. But things that have been reported suggest that the draft Trump peace plan would grant the Palestinians something less than sovereignty, essentially not a state, but more of an autonomy. That it would allow Israeli continued control of the borders. That the geography of the state would be substantially, or of the entity, I guess you'd say, would be substantially smaller than return to the pre-67 lines, and that the Temple Mount status would be firmly resolved as belonging to Israel. So, if those things are true, and again, one doesn't know whether they are true, but if they are, then you could see that the Palestinians would have a hard time sitting down on that basis.
All right, Craig Snyder, President and CEO of the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia. Craig, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.